Hi, I'm Lauren Chatama, and my company is Intentional Acting. And I'm hired by working actors whose work is getting passed over and they don't know why. And what they want is to book more work now and build a reputation of being an in-demand actor. So if that's you and it's something I can help you with, please reach out and give me a call. I do free discovery calls at www.discoveryintentionalacting.com. So one of the things that's important is which technique do you use? I mean, you guys are getting exposed to so many different teachers on this platform. And thank you, Wendy Allen Wright, because I think that that's really valuable. And I know in my own training that I was exposed to different styles. I really studied Meisner, Stanislavski, Adler, everything. Puppets, masks, Viola Spolin, everything. We studied it all. And then I walked away from conservatory and I'm like, well, what was this technique I learned? And they said, well, the method, the real definition of the method is that you find your own method. And so go find your own method. So that's what I walked away with from Trinity Rep Conservatory. And it's valuable. And when I realized, I was talking to a client today who's been studying Meisner for 2 years, and these things are so important to build your instrument. And as I said that, I thought it's kind of like you're building the violin, right? Or you're building a piano or an instrument, and you want to fine tune it, and you want to make sure everything's working and that the sound comes out really clearly, and that your tone and feelings and all of that, just like an instrument, that your instrument is doing that. And that's what good foundation technique will do. And that's what all of these methods have been for. But then there's the next step, which I think is about how do you put that to work in Hollywood? Okay? How do you go to work now? Because, for example, Meisner, I can't have an audition, in 4 hours and spend 3 of it just repeating and doing repetition over and over again. That's not necessarily going to get me the work. So how do I now have this instrument and it's tuned? What do I need to do next to put that into gear, to put the business side of show business? And what I think and what I've really focused on is that you have to have a technique that's going to fall, that you have to put together your method, your system, so that when you get an audition, you step by step know what to do. So you can go to work and get that audition, because there's sometimes you might be auditioning this afternoon for a role that can start tomorrow. In fact, that happened when I was shooting a film and I had this great actor, and he called me 2 days before we were going to shoot. And he said, Lauren, I'm really sorry. It was a short film. He said, I got a feature. And so I have to pull out. And he was an incredible actor. And he said, and I hate to do this, but I have to take the paid work. And I'm going to give you an even better actor than me. He worked with Spielberg. And I'm like, okay, if Spielberg will take him, I'll take him. But that actor, Mark Ivaner, I said, he got the script on Thursday and he had to be on set on Friday. And that's not uncommon. That wasn't just because I'm a low budget short film. That happens in high budget films all the time. So you as an actor, and then you go up against somebody. And I was listening to a casting director, and she had said, though, Kate Bone from The Crown, and she said, I need actors that are so confident that they can go toe to toe and eye to eye with people like Olivia Colman. And so not only do you have to put this together and audition and do the audition and then get ready for your shoot in less than 24 hours, then you've got to go up against somebody like Olivia Colman. That's the biz. That's how this business works. And so you need a technique that's going to get you there. And how do you know that? How do you define like where you are in your career and what you need next? Well, hopefully something that you're doing is maybe taking an inventory or tracking all of your auditions and maybe writing down who the casting directors are. Not maybe, I hope this is what you're doing. This is a really important thing for you as working actors, is that to track your auditions, know who you're auditioning for, Know if it's a comedy or drama. Track what's your ratio for callbacks? What's your ratios for booking? How many auditions does it take you to book a job? And then when you book, are you always getting a dramatic character? Are you always getting this co-star? Are you always getting leads? Are you getting the lead in a romantic comedy? What are you booking, right? Because then you can start to see what might be missing from your repertoire. And maybe you say, wow, I keep going out for comedy auditions, but I'm in a dramatic scene study class. Or I'm getting called for auditions with less than 24 hours to put them together, and yet I don't have any audition technique, and I'm doing Meisner, and I need to do repetition over and over again. And maybe you're like, well, so then that's the time when you go, okay, which technique is going to help me? What do I need to book that job? What's going on in my career and what's going on in all of my auditions so that I can see what's working and what's missing? Same thing you do with a headshot, right? You're like, which headshots am I submitting? Which ones are getting me called in? Or is my agent submitting, and which ones are getting me called in and which ones aren't, and which ones so what look is going, which is really selling out there. And that's what a business does. It takes an inventory of what is working and what's selling and what's not selling. And so you are the CEO of your business, and I know Wendy talks about that, and you have to know your inventory of training, of what you're skilled to do. Maybe I have one actress who's always being called in for Polish roles because she has Polish descent and she speaks Polish. And so she has to have a strong Polish accent. She has to be really clear how to nail those and what casting is looking for in those auditions. And that's what we work on. And maybe you're constantly being called. I had another back in years ago, I had another actor who was always being called in as the suicide bomber. In fact, he was a suicide bomber in one of my films. And so he had to recognize that that's a skill that that's what he's being called in, and that's what he needs to be at the top of his game for. So go back and if you're not tracking your auditions, start now. Track them, even on Excel spreadsheet, even if you have to do it on pen and paper. There are some really good tracking tools out there for actors so that you can see what you're doing, what you're going out for. Find out what's working, what's not working. What are you being called out regularly for? What is your agent really seeing you as? And really sees you in this rom-com or these sitcoms. Well, then make sure those tools are sharp. Right? Just like if you're building a house, you got to make sure your tools are sharp. And that's what your job is as an actor. And that's how you know what technique and what class and what kind of coaching you need to focus on. So when you get that opportunity, you can turn it into success. And that's what I believe success is. It's preparation plus opportunity equals success. And my job is to teach you how to prepare so when that opportunity comes, you are ready to turn it into a success. And that's what I hope for all of you in 2022, that you all get this, you get the roles that are perfect for you and that you are prepared and ready to harness them. So hopefully today will have helped you to do just that. And I would love your feedback. I'd love your comments. Please let me know how I can help you. And so leave your comments below. And you can always find me at Lauren@intentionalacting.com. That's LOREN. Good luck.